Well, hello everybody, Vicky here. I hope everybody's doing really well. I'm back again with another collage scrap project to do. This is the third in a trilogy of them, of this particular type, I believe. So this is just a little idea of how I go about processing scraps coming from a person that doesn't throw anything out. So don't be like me. It is okay to throw some things out. Now these tags I'm using, I'd say I've had them for quite a while. They're a craft and they're a commercial. So I would imagine I got it from the Discount Variety Shop because Graham cuts all my tags now using vanilla. I'm sorry, I just started talking and then I've had to yawn. I don't know whether or not it's because I don't talk much or whether or not it's my sleep apnea. Either way, I apologise. If that's the only one, we'll just keep going. So, like I was saying, these come from the variety discount shops. They wouldn't have cost too much money. I think in England you have a pound shop, you could have others. America, the Dollar Tree, I think it is, you guys have. So it's just that type of variety shop with all sorts of different things. And there's a little bit of that paper that I've used. It's the Jane Austen wrapping paper image of her quilt, which is on display in the cottage where she lived out most of her life. And it's on the bed upstairs, and they have like this glass case around this bed with the quilt on it so it doesn't get touched. And it's quite interesting that they've actually got it on there because the light could prove to be a problem. But having said that, the perspex that they had around it might keep out some of the light in it. I know we've got I had the privilege of seeing a quilt that is in Canberra National History. I'm not sure exactly where, but it's basically kept in a vault, because it is so very fragile. A couple of years back, there was a quilting show, I guess, and all these come out from England, and it was absolutely astounding. But the reason why I thought of that with Jane Austen is the Australian government allowed this quilt to come up and be on display next door to, in the same exhibition as these British ones. It was obviously behind glass, and it had also been shaded to try and do minimum damage to it. Now, this quilt, it was done by the female convicts that were shipped out from England. They used to get taken up onto the deck, and on these ships they had volunteers. So these particular volunteers, they were Quaker women, and they brought the women up onto the deck to teach them how to sew, so that they would have a way of earning their keep and eventually being able to be released and have some form of some sort of skill to be able to keep themselves. Now, the way that they've been able to do it, they've done DNA testing, because you could imagine sitting on one of those tall ships, how it would rock and roll, and there would be constant movement. The women that were sewing the quilts have all pricked their fingers as they've gone, and it's left traces of their blood in it. And the historians have been able to DNA trace that quilt to some of the names that actually sat on the deck. And I just find that, because I love history, and that story is I just find that astounding. So there you go, that little story just from the Jane Austen look about there. I'm thinking that this is a late night session that I am doing here. because my blue sleeves, that's my dressing gown, and I very rarely, ever rarely wear my dressing gown into my craft room. Um, when I go to hospital, I just take my dressing gown with me. And I've had this dressing gown. It was the first one I had after the flood, so it's got to be 10 years old, and it's still pretty amazing. So I don't tend to wear it around the house. I find it easier to get into something warm and a little less sort of bulky than being in my dressing gown for too long. So all that just to say that this is obviously night and I'm not sleeping, so there's no big surprise there really, is there? So I've just got the 6 cards out, and this is how I do it. I put some scraps to the side of me, and then I just keep going around the cards until I get them all covered up. I like doing this. This soothes my brain, and it helps with my insomnia. And if it doesn't help me sleep, it keeps me calm. So I guess it's a win-win. Now, you might be able to hear some cheering and some noise in the background. I've got a young couple that live next door, and they have a little boy, and they are having a Halloween party tonight. Now, they are normally very, very quiet, rarely ever have parties, and when they do, they normally break up pretty early in the night. They don't carry it through to all hours. So Graham and I are thinking, and we've told them this, that make as much noise as you want to. The amount of parties that they have, and the fact that they all come and they all stay, and they have a lovely time. No one's drink driving, which really isn't ours to police, but it's just nice to know. And quite honestly, I don't mind hearing the happy noise. They're young. They should be having parties. So if that's what you hear, that's what it is. I've come up to the other end of the house, which is our bedroom. I wouldn't be able to do this in my craft room because my craft room is closest to their house. So if you can hear it, just think about it as happy noise. I seem to have a never-ending pile of scraps, don't I? I'm just working furiously. And it doesn't matter how hard I try, I end up with these crazy scraps. And honestly, some of them really, should, if I was being honest, it should probably be put in the bin. But this gives me pleasure, like I keep saying. So this is a little bit bigger piece of coffee dyed paper. I know manila folder actually. So I'm just cutting that into a tag shape. It's quite a handy little shape. I think it's got some pattern on the back. I'm not quite sure, but I thought I saw that. Hope everybody's doing really well. We're doing well in this house. It's Saturday night, and we have one of our rare Saturday nights at home. But on Wednesday night, we went to the ballet with a very special friend for her birthday. And we had dinner, a beautiful dinner at a new Malaysian restaurant that's opened up on Little Stanley Street in Brisbane. It's about 1 block back from QPAC, from the theatre. So the Australian Ballet Company put on a performance of Swan Lake, and all 3 of us just enjoyed it so much. It was just beautiful to sit there and watch these young people do such an amazing job. So we're really, really privileged and happy that we got to go in and see that, but also to spend time with our friend Sue, and she enjoyed it very much as well. So we had a couple of days. It's just like, come to my house, it's the most boring house in the world, and I have a nap in the afternoon. I've never ever given in to laying down during the day, and I'm still having trouble with this neck of mine. Like I would have thought that I would have recovered by now. So it's still given me a little bit of trouble, but I can still get some things done. I was able to do dinner tonight. I know I normally always do it, but I haven't been doing a lot of cooking over the last month or so, and I've really missed it. So what did I do tonight? I did a tandoori and Greek yogurt base with garlic and cumin seeds and mustard. And garlic. So that went into. Did I get that right? No, I've got that wrong. The garlic and the tandoori paste was mixed together, and then marinated some drumsticks, and then put them on a wire rack and cooked them in the oven. And the ingredients I just said went into a lentil salad with a bit of lemon juice over the top of it, and some lentils and some tomatoes and celery. I'm sure there was something else, red onion, and just pop that in and get it heated through, and then you just cook the spices until they start to smell really yummy, and then a lemon juice and just a pinch of sugar. Mix that together and pour it over the lentil salad. And then I just did some greens, some broccoli and some peas and some snow peas and a bit of added yogurt. And you got the makings of a really, really yummy dinner. So we really enjoyed that tonight. Sort of like Middle Eastern, I guess you'd say. It was really, really yummy, and it was really good to get into the kitchen. But I knew I'd done enough by the time it was done. But that doesn't really matter. What matters is I was able to do it. I'm not 100% sure what I'm doing here. I think I'm probably collaging stuff, picking up papers, and I've finished the 6 tags. So now I'm just trying to waste out some of these papers by collaging them down. It's like, I wish I could have some riveting, some great, awesome things we've been doing. But this is the 3rd voiceover I've done, and I've actually had to delete the voiceover I did for this because I started talking about all the things that I talked about in the other 2 videos. So that kind of gives you an idea that things are pretty quiet around here. A couple of weeks back now, I don't know how many weeks back, Graham and I planted out some garden beds. We got some shrubs to put all along the front patio and out the back, along the back fence. So our back fence, we've got a very wide veranda all the way along the house, and then we've got paved area, a built-up garden bed against the back fence, and so there's really not a lot of room out the back. And then we have the pool to one side of us, and the workshop is on the other side. And in between the veranda and Graham's workshop, there's raised garden beds there. So we've got a really good little vegetable patch. It's really starting to come into its own. So we won't have to be buying kale for a while now. We're going to have plenty of that for me to keep picking and using. We've had a crop of bok choy, and we've got another lot in. What else? Tomatoes galore. So we'll have to see how they go. But we really like homemade tomato relish. So I've bought some beefy sorts of tomatoes, plants that will cook. And then we've planted some Roma. We've also planted a Black Russian tomato. Now, we have never had any luck with the Black Russian, and they are the most delicious eating tomatoes I personally think that you'll never get. They really are yummy. But where we've got the beetroot, and the beetroot's going from strength to strength. But Graham pointed out to me today that the ones at the back have had all their leaves and stems chewed off them. So I'm wondering whether or not our resident possum has popped in for a little snack. So I hope not, because he will make a heck of a mess of any of the fruit that sets. Oh yes, we've got our first cucumber. It grew pretty quick. And what else is going? Beans. The beans are starting to set. So we've got a few beans coming through. So we're not going to need to buy beans or kale for quite a while to come. And once the tomatoes come on, well, what I'll probably do is I'll cook up a batch of them with just Italian-based herbs, and then I'll when they cool, put them in a bag, like a 1 cup or 2 cup bag, and that way when I need tin tomatoes, I don't need to get tins. I can just go to the freezer, and I can get a bag or a tin of tomatoes out. It won't cost me anything. So that we do like when we were on the farm, I had a huge vegetable garden, far bigger than what 2 people could ever need. But this one's just seems to be the right size for the 2 of us. So we'll see how it goes. We've got capsicums planted, peas, just going around the garden trying to visualise 2 rows of tomatoes. So, oh my goodness, are we ever going to have some tomatoes? Lots and lots of tomatoes. I've got cabbage in. It is starting to close over to form a heart, but I don't know whether or not we're going to do a real lot of good with them, because it might just be too hot for them. But then again, could be wrong. And I've got a huge parsley plant, which gets used regularly, and then the basil next to that. And then we bought some marigolds, so that will help be a pest deterrent. Because if it's just caterpillars and bugs that are eating a bit of a leaf here and a leaf there, I can live with that to keep it in insecticide clear. And just not sure about what's happening where that stem's been well chopped off pretty well. But I thought maybe if it was a possum, it probably would have kept going. So I'm not sure exactly what's going on. It's just that in my experience, caterpillar won't eat all one stem down to nothing and then go back and get another one. It's just not in their DNA, is it? They just chomp as they go, and they chomp whatever's in their path. They probably don't have the greatest of eyesight. I'm not sure about that though. But if they had poor eyesight, it makes sense that they just eat from one leaf to another. But who knows? Oh my, what riveting conversation I'm having about the garden. I don't know who else enjoys gardening. But just to finish it off, all along the back fence is all planted out with lots of annuals and a few shrubs there. And we've got vines that are growing on the back fence. So it'll be like a wall of green when we walk out there. We did do that once before, but we dropped the ball. I wasn't doing too good, and marshmallow weed got in there and pretty well choked out everything except for a ground cover. So I've put fresh ground covers in, so we'll have 2 different types. And my hope is that once all that ground cover takes over all the dirt, I will get some shrubs and put them in there, because we're not always going to find it easy to be putting annuals in all the time. And of course, we've got all the annuals out in the front pots, and we had some left, and we've just sort of scattered them through the front garden just to give it a little bit of colour while the shrubs are growing up. What else have I done? Not a lot. Not a lot. I'm thinking. I've barely done anything in the craft room as far as new projects go. I know what I want to do, but I walk in and I walk out and I walk back, and it's because I know what I want to do and I'm procrastinating. My brain is making it very difficult for me to be able to do something, just anything. It just, I do tend to drive myself crazy. I'm just not quite sure on the way I want to go with this little project that I want to get up. I don't know whether I want to stay the same, go bigger, or meet halfway in between. So I've just been grabbing a few supplies out of the craft drawer. You don't need to or would want to see me sort of like fossicking through all these scraps. And I was looking at them tonight as I got some out. And even I have to admit there's a lot in there that's just going to have to go. Because I think what I did was is for a year or so, every time I finished a project, the little bits and pieces got all just plopped in this drawer. So I don't know that there's a huge amount of usable material in there, but I've got some out for this little project that I've got in mind. So I'm just going around just quietly. Just looks like it's all ecru, all coffee dyed colour, and it looks like I'm just building up a base. I think it could be on a piece of cardstock. I'm just wrestling to get my cardigan off. It's sort of like it's quite chilly at night again now, and you don't kind of need a jacket on, but it's cold without. But then again, I've turned the fan on, so that probably adds a bit of chill to the room. Both of us prefer to sleep in a cold room, dark, cold room. But we can't have the doors shut because the dogs, when we're in bed, they're up here with us. And Master Louis, if we had the audacity to lock him out of the room, well, he's just going to sit and cry, bark, and scratch at the door. And there will be no paint left there, so there's no future in that, is there? I had a pretty quiet day today. I slept through. Because I'm such a poor sleeper, Graham never knows on what time I go to bed at night. Well, last night I was asleep by about 3:30, which is pretty good for me. And I didn't wake up until 11:45. So since my treatment, I've been doing really well in the sleeping departments. I just have to try and round it up and have it the same time as what the rest of the world does. But, I've got something to work on. If I'm going to be sleeping, well, there's the opportunity to work on something. Because I've always fought the idea that if I go and sleep in the afternoon or if I sleep really late in the morning, and I'm going to do that because at least I'm getting sleep, my theory is if I can sleep during those times, there's no reason why I couldn't sleep any time. I just have to get my body used to it. Oh, well, my body hasn't met my mind. So there's a bit of differing opinions, I'm afraid. It's just, not going to happen. Oh my goodness, what else is there? I am so boring, and when I finish doing this video, I could go, oh, yeah, I should have told the girls about that. But I'm just really stuck. How unlike me. Cody went off to the beauty parlour, so that was a big week for him. Off to the beauty parlour he went. He had his usual bath and comb and shear. Oh, he's got so much hair. So all the lumps and bumps and the dags have been taken off him. He smells absolutely beautiful, and he is cuddly soft. He is so, so soft, and he looks amazing because he has that white through him. I haven't really seen any brown on him, which isn't uncommon for border collies, but it just seems to be black, but the white is just snow white. No, Louis doesn't get a bath at the beauty parlour. Graham does him in the bath here. He's the only one that uses the bath. And then Graham, when Graham goes to pick Cody up, he takes Louis down for them to cut his toenails. Graham said it's an absolute crack up. Every month it's the same. Louis and Graham walk in, and then they bring Cody out, and it's like this huge reunion. And off Louis goes, full pelt, running over, going, "Oh, you're here! I was so worried. What were you doing? Glad you're safe." He said it's really, really funny. You think they've been away from each other for years. So now I've got everything in the background done. I'm just going through now, and I will be putting some sort of like focal images or images on top of it just to give it a bit of a lift. And I turned it over there, and I realised that it's actually an empty packet from out of the kitchen. So its weight would probably be just that little bit more than what craft paper is. So I'm just merrily going about seeing what's going to look good and where to put something else. And I'm pretty sure I had collage in the last one. I am, like I said, hopefully starting to make a few videos. I promise to do something that doesn't involve a glue stick and little bits of paper. We'll see how we go from there. And then the other thing that I've been trying to do now is I've got so many little images, so many bits, ephemera bits and labels and all sorts of different stickers just laying around my house. I've decided it's time that they all get used. So what I'm doing at the moment is I'm just picking out some commercial. I do believe that this one, oh no, I was going to say I thought it was a sticker, but I'm ahead of myself here. So, I just have so many of these little embellishments that I really need to be using what we've got. I can't call this one basket at a time because I'm pretty sure it's come out of a different basket. Or has it? No, I honestly don't think it has. So now I'm just going to get a little bit of washi tape, and I'm just going to move it all around and just put it wherever I think it might look nice. Just ripping it. I mean, once upon a time when washi tape ripped and it went all crooked and it didn't tear right, I would put it in the bin because you can't use that. That's shocking. So now I actually tear little bits off and put them here and there and actually make an effort to tear it a little bit. And yeah, it's funny, isn't it, how we evolve? So now you see this is a mushroom I was doing. Once upon a time I would have thrown that away too because it broke. But here I am getting the other tiny bit of the mushroom and piecing it together. Now I just had to move, so I'm hoping I didn't make too much noise for you. So just getting that little mushroom stuck down. Well, I just got cut off, so I am hoping that this is picked up okay again. So now what I'm doing here, seems to me like the speed slowed down a bit as well. I'm not quite sure what's going on, but hopefully we can get to the end of the video. So all I'm doing now is popping some little bits of ephemera or commercial all around the page, just to lift it, to make it look a little bit more interesting. I was talking about that quilt from the longship, the tall ship that came out with the convicts. It's only the front of the quilt. It hasn't been sandwiched and sewn together. And honestly, in all honesty, it's pretty wonky. And I could not imagine anybody being able to get a really good finish on the sandwiching and the quilting of it. But let's not be too critical. These people were using rags, because any fabrics they had would have all gone for clothing that was any good. So and they did embroidery on it as well. So it's absolutely magnificent to look at. And the other thing that blew my brain was when the English troops, the English army, England was at war in Crimea, I think it was. They had the soldiers stationed away from home and for so long in a war area, alcoholism was a massive problem. So to try and keep the men occupied at night, or giving them something that they could be occupied with, this is when they wore the old woolen, felt woolen red jackets and black trousers, and it was really, really thick fabric, really thick. So what they did is any uniform that was just beyond repair, that couldn't be used anymore, they cut it up. They cut it up into hexagons. Now I love English paper piecing. I've done a lot of quilts and then currently got one on the go, English paper piecing, and I love it. I really do love the whole process. And I've started, I don't know for my sins or I don't know why, but I had small scraps. So I've gone down to a 1/2 inch hexagon. So you can just imagine what I've got ahead of me. But that's okay. I like doing it, and it's a way of using up scraps. Once again, why wouldn't I have scraps from my sewing side of my life? Of course I do, it's me. But these guys did it. I reckon they were 1/2 inch hexagons. They did that with the thick wool that they had. They would have been doing it by lamp or firelight, and they had this massive great quilt that these soldiers had put together, and it is just so humbling to see such a work of art. I don't know how they did it. I'm doing it fine, but I'm only using cottons, so it's not as thick. So that was one of the ones that were on display. And another one that they had on display was a half finished, well, not even a half finished. They had like a section of what was English paper piecing, hexagon again, and they had that on display. But at the front of it, you could see how it all come together. But if you walked around the display, you would see the newspaper and the papers and what print they used, what paper they had to use, and it was an example, a very early example that they have that has survived of the English paper piecing, and I can't remember how many centuries it goes back, but it, it it's been going on for an awful long time. And the reason why patchwork became a thing is because woven cloth was very expensive. People didn't have as much money, and certainly didn't have the amount of money that we have now for discretionary spending. So they used to wear the clothes, and when they went to rag, they would take the best of the fabric out, and even that has been washed thin from so much washing. They then patched work. They layered, so they did their tops, and then they put a backing to it and stitched it all together, therefore giving a new strength to a quilt, something to keep them warm. So it was a very practical reason that happened. So all I'm doing now is I'm marking these out. I believe I did them in a 3 by 6. So I'm just going across and marking that out. And I think there's going to be a little bit longer than the 6. I hope nothing's gone wrong here with this, because I'd hate to think that I'm going to have to do it all over again. It just seems to be going extraordinarily slow. But I did check to see, and it says that it's the same speed as what it was. So this is how you use your kitchen boxes. What I do, or the reason why that looks a bit motley, is because I take the sandpaper and just buff off the shininess of it. Now what I'm doing here is I've marked out my tags from the wrong side, so I can't see what's there. Now my friend Kelly told me that she saw a lady do this, and I don't remember the name of the lady that Kelly said where she saw it. So all it is turning your collage over so that you can't see it, and then you just go along and you mark off in increments what you want, and then at the front will be whatever the front will be. So I find it really, to tell you the truth, I found it a little bit hard to do. Lack of control, I guess, is what drove that to be difficult for me to do. But here we are. We're going to find out any second now. So I think that's the end piece that I felt the need just to trim off. So now we're going to turn these over, and we're going to see them at the same time. And I think putting some focal points down when you don't know that's what you're going to do, it's got the potential to work out really well. And I believe with this particular tag, it has worked out well. That to me, that looks like a pretty balanced tag, and I'm happy with that. I like that. So I'm just going to go through, and I'll use the first card just as a template to cut the tabs into the side of them. And we might even get a look at the second one. Hopefully I do a bit of a show after I've done it. I still have to remember that I need to be sitting closer to my desk, otherwise you can't see what I'm doing. Now this next one looks like it is a little bit busier than that one there, and I'm not sure what the second one. It's all a bit of a mystery, isn't it? We have to wait and find out together. There we go. So that's the third one. The second one is sitting down there on the deck. It's got quite a bit happening to it. So the chances are I will put a little bit of gesso over that to try and bring it in a little bit better together. It's not to say I don't like it. It just, they're all, to me, bits that are stuck onto a piece of paper. They're not cohesive. They don't blend well together. So I'll need to look at that. So that top one I really like as well. I think that turned out all right. And then this strip here, I thought that I would use it for belly bands. But what I've done is I've cut it out at 6 inches. So my pages are normally 7, and I'm thinking that we lose a little bit in that width for where the signature gets sewn in. So I will be trying to use these as belly bands, and if they're not too short, they're going to be really good for it. And like I said, I just don't know where I got the 6 inches from. I'm not sure at all, but we'll work with it because they're too nice not to. And there's such a very little waste out of this project as it turned out. I got the sizes and the placement and that pretty good. And so I've got the 2 6 inches. That's the second 6 inch, and this I do believe is going to be a couple of name plates. So I've just cut that in half, and it will be whatever it'll be. So yeah, I'm just going around now and just nipping the corners off these. And like I said, I will use them as a label or as a oh gosh, what's what I'm looking for? And we'll just have to leave it at that. I'm using that for a name that will go somewhere with it. So really, we haven't had very much waste at all. A tiny little bit of it got put in the bin because it was just a little bit too icky. And just cutting this up now, book plate. I think I can't think of things, and then all of a sudden I blurt it at you, and you're like, book print? What on earth are you talking about? The name of a journal. Put it in a name tag thingy. Okay, it's nearly the end of the video. You'll have to forgive me. I'm getting a bit tired. So what's going to happen now is when I finish just straightening these up, I'm going to show you what we've done today. And I think we did pretty good. And if you'll have a look, there's barely any, if there's like no scraps left. So that's a pretty good scrap busting session, I would say. And I would like to, just as I'm showing you the tags, I'll just bring them out and put them on the desktop, and I would just like to take this opportunity to thank you very much for watching my videos and supporting me. So that 4 are from the masterboard there. I do honestly appreciate you all. I would like, please, for you to be kind to yourself, and please be kind to the person standing next to you. I really do hope you like my tags that I'm putting down. And until next time, I'll see you then. Bye for now.